tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
You can look, but you can't touch.
Nope.
The celebration don't stop here at AfterBuzz TV, y'all. Don't mind them. We are celebrating the longest reigning Divas champion of the WWE, Miss Nikki Bella, and she's also the star of E's Total Divas, which, if you love, you're in the right place. We are going to break down episode number 11, An Unwanted Proposal. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Christy Olsen, and this is the AfterBuzz TV Total Divas After Show. I'm not alone in this celebration. Are you guys ready to get the party started?
Yes, you are.
All right. Before you guys even tell everybody who you are,
you want to know how?
You didn't. Yeah. Let's do this. Ready?
Wait, no, I'm not ready.
No, you have to.
Bella time.
2, 3.
Woo! Oh, hey, one more. Ready? Do it. Woo!
Yeah.
Oh, dud. All right. Well, let the celebration continue. George, tell them who you are and where to find you, please.
The smell of used fireworks. My name is George Hermoza. You can find me at G Hermoza on Twitter and on Instagram. G Hermoza, GHERMOZA. The road to 400 followers. The revolution continues.
All right,
I'm
we're
like
riding
at
right along with you.
353, I think. So
You're almost there.
Just one by one.
Hey guys,
slightly
you can
more
find
Twitter
me
followers.
on Twitter at _ Paulina Aguilar and on Instagram at Paulina M. Aguilar.
All right. We love it. I know. This is good stuff. We kind of pull out all the stops here at AfterBuzz TV for the Total Divas After Show. And if you guys are joining us on YouTube, we really appreciate it. Please give that thumbs up. We have some great commenters on our YouTube. Somebody wrote a really nice long comment about me last week, and I went back to reply and give it a thumbs up, and I couldn't find it. So please, all of you out there, leave your comments. We really appreciate it. We're reading them. Let us know what you think about the show, about our show. We are also on iTunes and SoundCloud. We appreciate 5 stars, and you can give us a rating and leave a comment there as well. Follow the entire AfterBuzz team at AfterBuzz TV. Now, let's break this one down. We do have many reasons to celebrate tonight. An engagement. John has his first stand-up comedy fate, and he does fantastically, if I might say so myself. What was your guys' overall impressions of this episode?
I liked it.
I liked it.
Was like the proposal was unexpected. Like, I knew we saw the previews for it, but the way that it happened threw me off. I thought he really was gonna go get a tattoo.
I know. I'm with you. I was like, it's gonna be a fake thing.
But overall, we're still continuing with the Daniel Bryan storyline with his injury. But overall, I really like the episode.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised with the proposal, just because we've seen in past episodes where the kind of bulk of the storyline, happens, and then by the end of it, it's something completely different.
Right.
So it was, we've seen it many times before. Okay, I thought I was going to hear. That was weird. All right, either that or I'm hearing things. And you guys apparently are too. But yeah, I am very surprised that it actually went through with it, especially when we saw like previews for it. Like they're not really big on showing us what actually happens. So it was kind of like, oh, so that wasn't like a joke, or that wasn't just kind of a trying out thing. He really did propose, but we'll get into that as the story progresses.
We're so apprehensive at this point. Whenever we see those previews, we're like, oh, I'm sure that didn't really happen that way. But before we get rolling into it and really breaking down this episode, I have some special not breaking news, I guess, just fun AfterBuzz TV news. I want to let you all know to be sure to tune into this show. Next week, we will have Total Diva Ariane Andrew joining us live in studio. We're going to talk about the episode. We're going to catch up with her and see what she's been up to. She's releasing a brand new song and video next week that she's going to talk to us about and bring some goodies for our fans, I believe.
Is it called Chingle Chingle?
It's not called Chingle Chingle. It's actually an anti-bullying campaign that she's championing. So we cannot wait to talk to her about that. Make sure you don't miss it. It's going to be tons of fun.
Chingle. And of course, girl bye. But obviously, when I interviewed her at Access, she did boy bye me. And that made my day.
You got a boy bye.
I got a boy bye.
Wow. Well, we'll see how it goes the next time around.
Hopefully. Keeping my fingers crossed.
You were just saying.
Hopefully she brings Vinny. I like Vinny.
I know. I do too.
I always go to the gym that he works out at, and I never see him.
No?
Not that I'm
Gotta
trying
get
to be
to his
all-
level.
Well, we'll let her know that she can bring him along if she'd like.
Yeah,
and
hopefully we see him here.
we can ask him about that engagement that he was working on last season. All right, but speaking of engagements and such things, Total Divas tonight started with Daniel Bryan giving up
The title.
the Intercontinental Championship title from the WWE. Now, this was sad. I mean, when you can really see the emotion on his face and his eyes welling up with tears, he kind of stumbled over his words when he climbed in that ring and said, "I may never wrestle again." This was difficult to watch, yeah?
Of course.
Reading his book, it just kind of he very much so loves the wrestling. Like when I say the wrestling, he likes, that aspect of it. Like he likes getting in the ring. He even said himself, even if he wasn't in WWE, he'd still be wrestling, whether it's for $10 a show, selling T-shirts out of the back of his trunk. He'd still be wrestling. He loves wrestling. So take that away, and even though we all know that he can do so much more, and we've seen him as a host of Tough Enough, obviously New York Times bestselling author, obviously we all know he's more than the wrestling. He kind of doesn't think that in some ways, He thinks this is all I can do. This is what I'm really good at. So, yeah, it was kind of heartbreaking to see him kind of lose it in some ways.
Well, it's certainly understandable. To get to the point that he is at, you have to live, breathe, and want this more than anything in the entire world since the day you were born, pretty much. So the fact that he's just, I think, never really thought of doing anything else or never thought of having to do anything else is what's becoming very apparent here. It's like there is no plan B when you're making your dream come true, right?
Oh, of course. And it's a hard pill to swallow, to let alone tell a million people.
Don't do that.
Get off your phone. Let alone tell a million people, that are there in the stadium and watching them that, hey, I may not wrestle again. I'm giving up the title. He hasn't even accepted it himself.
Right, yeah.
He doesn't want to accept it.
And he's not the only one. Brie has a lot of apprehension about this as well, and I really liked the conversation between she and Nikki that when they had their cute little picnic at Central Park.
Yeah.
Which little moments like that kind of stood out to me. These people, they are traveling, and home is a place where they get to go maybe once every couple months, and so you have to take those moments, and maybe they have to be at TV in an hour, but they're still going to go and enjoy Central Park and pack their wine and do their thing and have their girl talk. And Nikki was again kind of very wise in this conversation. Yeah, and I couldn't help but think Nikki's words almost sounded like they were coming from John. Right? Like she had spoken to him about this, or this was something definitely that they've talked about or that they've thought about too.
Right.
And her perspective, I think, was just a lot wider than what I would expect of someone from her experience. You know what I mean? It just sounded like it came from a place of wisdom. Right?
Yeah, I agree. It was nice to see Brie kind of be a little bit more realistic about the situation. Usually we see Daniel be the more realistic one and Brie kind of wander off a little bit. So the tables got kind of turned, in which I do agree with Brie. Like, hey, this may not work out, but I'm looking long term in 40 years. Where are we going to be then? Because I am going to be the one taking care of you if something worse were to happen and you go back to wrestling, which is true. And who's to say he can't do something else within wrestling? There are hundreds of athletes that have ended their careers due to injuries who bounce back and end up doing sportscasting or a coach or a trainer. So it's not like he can't be involved. I think it's just the physically actually being a wrestler that's hard.
Once you're a wrestler and just kind of seeing the success and just because honestly a lot of these guys do think of the actual wrestling being fun, so when you see these guys do that and being on TV, and
Well, that goes for every athlete,
for
though.
Brian it's not just being on TV though, just wrestling in general, and I think seeing that would be hard for him. Even a former wrestler who had a similar, I know Brian, he's dealing with a concussion, but Steve Austin, who had a neck issue, he when he retired he said it took me a while to get it out of my system. Like I couldn't watch it for a while because it hurt me so much, not more emotionally, to know that I can't be in there. I can't feel that, so I get it.
I mean, at the end of the day, you move on. You learn to accept it, you deal with it, you grieve a little bit, and then you look on to something else. It's like a bad breakup. It's like your first breakup with your love of your life that, you were so in love with, and all of a sudden you go two separate ways, and you might get depressed a little bit, you're sad, you cry a little bit, but then you go on and you find something else, you find a new love, and you find a new passion, and I feel like at some point Daniel's going to have to do that. Yeah. Everybody's going to go through that. I mean, as hosts, when that career ends, we have to find something else.
It's never going to end. But
that's the realistic That's reality.
But at the same time, I mean, doctors have cleared him, and it's not a matter of he is physically healthy. It's just a matter of WWE doesn't want to take the risk.
That's right. We actually reported a story a few weeks ago saying that he was cleared by the neurologist or whatever. Thank you. Whatever that big word is. The guy for the Super Bowl. So he's cleared by all means, and he even says that and establishes that in this episode. But it's that the powers that be at the WWE are nervous about him getting back in the ring.
Right.
And this is also when we see another relationship issue, this one far more different, between Kevin and Paige. And we learn that Kevin has ring buying on the brain.
Do we know how long they've been dating?
No, we still don't know at this point, but we know it's not a long time.
Less than a year?
I feel like maybe January.
Way less than a year, like a few months at this point.
January, February? Mm-hmm. That's when I think I started to see him a lot more on her Instagram and whatnot, you know?
Mm-hmm, yeah, that sounds about right.
You're all up on that.
Yeah, no, that's about right. And it was even at the beginning of this season, they were talking that they had only been together for like a hot minute.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think around WrestleMania time, it was like brand new.
Mm-hmm,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, not that long.
I think it's just weird how we saw her with her ex, you know, wanting to move in and move quickly, and then once that went away, she's total opposite with her new boo. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't look very happy being engaged. You know, I haven't seen her recently, if there's any postings or anything like that, but from the show, she wasn't excited, and trust me, it's every girl's dream about being proposed to. Come on.
Well, is it yours?
Well, it's not like a dream, but I'm really excited for however that happens.
However, whenever, whoever. She's ready. She's ready.
Not whoever. Let's be careful.
Well, my theory on that is that Paige was pushing it with the ex-boyfriend, and that is what she wants, and that she is, you know, past relationship. We learned about that last season. And I think that she wants to convince herself that she's not ready for marriage. She's not that far into it yet. Like, she's not there yet. But I think she is.
Really?
She definitely
said yes there. Well, Mom, fast forward, but she definitely said yes there at the end.
But don't get me wrong, you know, she does love him. We see that, but to me, I feel like she needs to mature a little bit more. Do we know the age gap between them?
I don't know how old he is, but I think she's 22.
She
looks pretty young too.
I feel like there needs to be some maturity growth there before she can move on and actually get married. So I'm all for, like, hey, be engaged for 10 years or so, and then you know, do the whole thing.
Do you think she should have shut down this ring talk initially at the jewelry store when it started? I think that would have been so much easier and would have been putting Kevin through a lot less if she had been honest from that first inkling that she thought, this is where he's going with these questions. Maybe I should let him know that I'm not ready yet.
I feel like before he even brought her to the jewelry store, they should have had that conversation of, hey, where's this relationship going? Do you see marriage in our future? Mm-hmm. I mean, can I ask how you were proposed, or did you have that conversation with your husband?
No, I had no idea it was coming. But we were engaged for 4 years after that.
And how long were you guys dating before you guys got engaged?
We were together for 3 years before we got engaged.
That's a good amount of time.
It is a long time, and then we ended up getting married on our 7-year anniversary.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you knew that was good. I mean, you guys had that conversation, though. Like, hey, I would want to spend the rest of my life with you, but maybe not right now.
No, we never really did. I mean, it just came out of nowhere. I mean, but again, you know, 3 years is a lot longer than Paige and Kevin have been together.
3 months.
But I feel like our situations are a little similar, you know, trying to pursue a big dream in the entertainment industry and travel back and forth. My husband spends most of his time in Minnesota.
Right.
So those are factors that factor into this relationship stuff. You know, Kevin keeps saying, we don't get to spend a lot of time together. And I think he's just in the mode where when he does get a second with her, he's so happy. Yeah. That he's just thinking like, lock it down for life, because maybe then I'll get some time with this chick. You know what I mean?
So we have Joseph Boza, thank you for commenting and being here with us, who says Kevin is 30 and Paige is 23.
He looks younger than
so thank you, Joseph.
Yes, 7-year difference, which, you know, is...
would explain why he's ready and she's maybe not yet.
Right. I mean, at 23, no, I was not married. I was barely in a relationship, you know. But, you know, a few years later, you know, you look for that.
But what's the rush, too? Like...
Exactly.
I don't know. It's just me. I just...
Is it a guy thing to kind of, like, pin her down? Is, like, put a rock on it if you like it type of thing?
With me, I'm very big on I don't want to do things for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm. Do you sense that Kevin is doing this for the wrong reasons?
Maybe. I don't know. Like, I mean, he really loves her, don't get me wrong, but like, what's the rush either?
You think he's afraid of losing her?
Maybe.
I see
Right.
I see him being more genuine than Paige about the relationship.
Like, do you think maybe he's a little more into it than she is?
I do, but I think that comes from her situation with her ex as well. Because you do carry that a little bit. You get scarred or you're hurt and you kind of tread carefully, which I think is why she's taking it really slow and avoiding the whole thing. But I mean, I still think that there should have been a conversation before the jewelry store.
Agreed. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, before we get to Trinity and John, I know we love Total Divas, but there is another brand new show coming out that I'm really excited about. I saw the ads for this months ago already, and I was like, that sounds good.
It's good, right?
And now I get to tell all of you about it, so make sure you tune in Sunday, September 27th for the series premiere of ABC's highly anticipated new drama. I just told you I'm looking forward to it. It's called Quantico. Quantico, it's where the FBI trains their top recruits. It's so interesting. Over 100,000 young people apply, only 1,200 get in. They are the smartest, the strongest, they've got the best skills, but now they must live and train together under one roof. One of them is a traitor. Everything changes when a massive terrorist attack strikes America. The FBI discovers its greatest fear, that one of their top Quantico recruits is a terrorist. Which one is behind it all and became a traitor? It's an edge-of-your-seat drama with twist after twist after twist. Priyanka Chopra stars in one of television's top new shows of the fall. Do not miss the series premiere of Quantico. That is Sunday, September 27th at 9 Central on ABC.
Easy as 1, 2, 3.
Thank you for that help there, guys. What would I do without you two crazy kids?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
Agreed.
exactly.
I would just be sitting here talking to myself. Well, John and Trinity have something new on the horizon, and this is kind of I guess sort of a similar situation to Bree and Brian, where Bree is really weighing in heavily on Brian's career. This is one where Trinity has said, hey, John, you're really, really, really funny. And she's right. And she thinks he should try his hand at stand-up comedy, which seems genius to me. I mean, he is hilarious. He's cracked us up on this show over several seasons. And I think I was just telling you guys, I was going over some old interview footage yesterday and watched my interview with him from a couple years ago. And he had me laughing the whole time. Like, I hardly even got anything good out of him because he's just such a clown the entire time. And he's so much fun. So I wasn't surprised that Trinity wanted to encourage him to do this. I was surprised that he was so apprehensive about it. Because I thought, of course he's going to be good at this. Why doesn't he think that too?
I mean, let's be honest with you. We all know that I'm hilarious, okay?
Okay.
Like, I'm a
Oh, that's right. Your nickname is Funny George.
I'm Hoot.
Wait a minute.
I'm a hoot, okay? But I'm going to tell you right now, I will never be on stand-up comedian. Not even one time.
Well, I believe that. I mean,
So,
we weren't expecting you to.
believe that, but I'm saying, like, that's no different than John. Well, yeah, he's funny, he's hilarious, but it's a little bit different than being in the scenario as opposed to now you're put on the spot in front of just a random crowd you've never seen before. Because obviously, I think when you know somebody, you know how to cater to that audience. You know what makes them laugh, so you're going to be able to do that. When you're in front of a room with a bunch of strangers, you don't know what's going to make them laugh. You know what I mean? So I see why he is a little nervous and apprehensive about it. Olsen.
I think in the entertainment industry, probably the two most difficult things to do, like over like juggling or any kind of crazy stuff, is stand-up comedy and professional wrestling. Right? So I kind of feel like if you can knock one out of the park, if you can sports entertain, I mean, get up there and give it a go. I was really happy that Dolph Ziggler encouraged him, and he set up this little gig for them both to go out and do their stand-up, and I've been wanting to hear Dolph Ziggler do stand-up because he just calls himself a stand-up comedian, but has never performed anywhere or anything. So no, there's nothing on YouTube.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. Yes, I've scoured the internet for footage of Dolph Ziggler doing stand-up comedy, and as far as I know, it doesn't exist. If it does, please tweet me at Christy Reports. And so I wanted to see him throw in some jokes and see how he was. We saw one zinger from him. It was pretty good, but not quite enough for me. But
I attended a comedy show that he was supposed to be at, and he no-showed.
Oh,
that's not good business.
Maybe he chickened out. That's our engineer James chiming in with some information. I like that.
I mean, I like hearing him in interviews, like, you know, when he's on the Chris Jericho podcast or whatnot, because that's when I think a lot of his comedic, you know, kind of comes out. he sounds like he's a big fan of just comedy in general, and you can kind of hear the passion that he has for comedy. So yeah, I agree with you. I'd love to see him just in a comedy atmosphere at one point.
Yeah, well, and his brother is involved in comedy out here, right?
Have you seen Trainwreck at all yet?
I haven't seen Trainwreck
There's
yet.
one part that I'm like, I want to just ask you about.
Well, I know. I think we're at that point where it's like it's not in the theater anymore, and it's going to be a while. So don't you have to wait a little bit longer. Not to spoiler me, George, but I do appreciate it.
Spoiler alert, anyways. But
I do appreciate
just an
it.
observation I kind of want to put out there.
Speaking of ruining surprises, I think if you're looking for jewelry that a man has hidden for you, ladies, the absolute first place you look
is the jacket.
Is in the closet, in the jacket pockets. Now, this is common knowledge. This is run of the mill. Any woman will tell you, we know this, guys. So if you're really looking for a hiding spot, that ain't it. And it didn't surprise me that they came up with this ring. Now, Emma is a super sleuth. I'm loving her. I wish we could see more of her. She was on it, and she found that ring quickly.
Yeah, she did. I don't know if I could do that. If I knew it was coming, I would just wait and be surprised. I would like maybe check a couple drawers, but I probably wouldn't go all out. I'd want to be surprised.
I like the appearances from Emma. I just feel bad for her because it feels like they want her there, but she's not good enough to be officially on the cast. Or maybe she's not dramatic enough. Who knows? I don't know the process of actually.
Well, my
picking
theory
out.
is that she's not banging a superstar enough to be on the show.
I mean,
but she has a ton of personality. She's always funny when we do see her. I think they're at the point where we've seen a lot more of Renee. Like, they're just shooting everyone who's all around.
Renee
and
Young.
we're going to see. Now, we've seen so much more of Dolph Ziggler.
Renee Young said she had some stand-up comedy experience as well.
She did. That was interesting. I wondered if maybe, a lot of hosts do take, like, improv classes, or it's something that they tell you, as a host, you should try a little bit of comedy or try a little stand-up.
They have a whole different kind of humor over there, right?
Right, so we figure Renee Young's probably funny in Canada.
Probably, I don't know.
Well, I wonder if there's footage of that on the internet. If there is,
I'm pretty sure you can find it. You can find anything on the internet these days.
Apparently not, because you can't find Dolph Ziggler's stand-up routine.
Because it doesn't exist, because he's not a stand-up comedian.
Because apparently he no-shows, apparently.
Anyway, so the ring is found, and it's gorgeous, if I might add. Paige's reaction
is not genuine. It's not genuinely happy.
No.
She had to think about it. I would be excited, but I mean, at the same time, if I knew it was coming and I wasn't into it, I would have done something before.
At least, like, drop a comment here and there, like when they were ring shopping or whatever. Just say something like, "Oh."
You just make a little comment.
That'd be great
I'm not ready to be married or whatever, whatnot.
Right? Yeah. So it wouldn't be that hard.
But that conversation should have been had. I mean, him being 30 years old, you would think that he would be mature enough to bring that up.
That's true.
Usually
maybe
it's the
on
girl
him a little
bringing
bit.
it up. Well, I mean, usually it's the girl bringing it up, but I mean, maturity.
Paige can't do that and ruin her anti-diva image. Where is this relationship going is not something an anti-diva says. Right?
That's crazy.
This whole scene had me sort of wondering if Emma knew. Like, I wondered if maybe Kevin had talked to Emma, or in some way Emma knew that he was going to propose, and she knew Paige wasn't going to be okay with it, and she was trying to warn Paige. So I think we got to give Emma a little bit of props on that.
So then, if she's
she was trying to help Paige dodge a bullet,
back to Kevin and been like, "Hey, my girl ain't ready."
She should have. Yeah,
that's what I would do.
Oh, now
if it were my friend.
Agreed. Well, Daniel Bryan has a little birthday. Speaking of celebrating, we're celebrating a Daniel Bryan birthday, and the whole family gets together for a little chat. This was particularly telling as well. And one thing that we had a little laugh about is that Mama Bella herself speaks up.
Yeah.
As if she is a WWE veteran and knows what's up.
As if she has the ear of a certain WWE personality in her ear on a regular basis.
If you tuned in last week, you know that Mama Bella is now engaged to John Laurinaitis. And what she said to Daniel at the birthday dinner certainly sounded like something that would come from a John Laurinaitis. Yeah. So that was really cute.
People power. That's the worst impression of people power guy I've ever done. People power. No, I can't even do it. It's people power. There we go. People power.
Big up, James.
It sounds like you're losing your breath. People power. I can't even do it. I can't do it.
Well, then talk to us about this, George. They're telling Daniel that he has to switch up his style of wrestling. Now, there's been a lot of talk about that recently. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on the guys from Vince to not take as many risks and stuff. But is that really a thing? Can they really tone it down without compromising the quality of their wrestling? I mean, like when she tells him you got to change your style of wrestling, I'm kind of thinking like, really?
I mean, in some ways it is. I mean, there is a certain move that he does that I'm sure he's never going to ever do again. It's like a flying headbutt from the top rope.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm surprised that he actually did that to begin with, without going into reasoning why. I know James knows what I'm talking about. But, yeah, now definitely he's not going to do that because of, maybe a possible concussion. Obviously, you're using your head as a weapon from the top rope. So
it is possible for him to change it up a little bit and maybe wrestle a little bit safer.
Yeah, definitely.
But as a Daniel Bryan fan, if he did that and lowered the risks and didn't do such, these amazing tricks, I haven't seen very much of the tricks, but from what you guys are talking about, would you still look at him the same? Would you still have that same respect for him as an athlete and how long he's been around?
The great thing about professional wrestling is a lot of times it's not about the physicality of it. It's about the psychology of it.
Elaborate, please.
So deep.
Oh, wow.
Quote of the day.
Sometimes you see a lot of these guys that gotta work so hard, do the flips, do the back flips, go at 110%. When you have some of the greatest wrestlers of all time, all they really need to do is like a leg drop or just do something with their eyebrow, like The Rock. And those are the guys that end up. The more popular you are and the bigger superstar you are, kind of like the less you have to do in the ring.
But is that signature move that you're talking about would be something that the fans look forward to, though? Like, oh, okay, it's towards the end, he's going to win, and he does his move, and now he's not going to be doing it anymore. It's kind of like...
I think some moves that he does... I think some moves that he does, they won't be missed.
Okay. What about the signature move, though? That's a signature move.
The signature moves that he does... The actual ones that he does, because he has a submission hold. I don't know what he has a knee. I can't think like a flying knee.
It's been a while since he's been in the ring.
Yeah, exactly. Those ones don't really put that much risk on the concussion side of it. So I think those are the moves that people look forward to. The moves like the flying headbutt, I don't think will be missed.
I don't know. I might have to disagree on you there. Just in general. I mean, I'm sorry?
I think what you're trying to say is like his style. Like if Daniel Bryan comes to the ring and he can't throw kicks or fight and wrestle like you're used to seeing him fight and wrestle, people are going to be like, well, why are we watching this? Yeah. But if WWE gave them the opportunity to show how versatile they are, that like he's a really funny guy, and if he came out and did jokes one week and then jokes the next week, the third week when he doesn't throw kicks but he's funny, people would understand it then, as opposed to like, well, why is Daniel Bryan in the ring not throwing kicks? He's telling jokes. He's not a comedian wrestler. He's a striker and a fighter. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't think that we're gonna know until he actually does it and see what the response is.
I mean, he came back with a serious neck injury, which a lot of people didn't even know what was wrong with him. And then and I think the neck injury with the possible paralyzation, because if it's a neck, like that's something that's like probably the worst thing that can happen. Just ask somebody like I don't know, you don't know who he is, but somebody like Edge or even Steve Austin, where they said you wrestle one more match, the possibility of being paralyzed is pretty much out there.
Yeah, right.
And for Daniel Bryan to come back from a neck injury and still go at that pace, I think he's good. But at the same time, he's coming back from concussion, so and they said he's fine too. Like it's just a matter of, well, you've had a lot of concussions, so that's what it's about. It's not that he's fine, he's healthy, but well, what happens if you have another one?
Well, you can say the same thing about football. Yeah. How many concussions do you think athletes have every single day?
That's going to become a huge convo
and now
this fall,
you've got 3 days of football a week. You got Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. So, I mean, a lot of the athletes go out there and they say, you know what, I have too many. I don't want to make it worse. I don't want to be in a worse situation where all of a sudden I can't walk again. Therefore, I can't do X, Y, and Z as a career, as your backup plan. And I do have to agree with Brie on this, that kind of be like, okay, I know they cleared you, but is it still the greatest idea? Probably not.
Right. Her goal is to have him live as long as possible and be the father of her children.
And I can't blame her.
Yeah.
I want the same thing.
I was kind of worried, though, as she kept talking about him not wanting him to get back in the ring. I thought, girl, the WWE Universe is not extremely keen on you and your sister at this time the way it is. Don't be telling them that you're trying to tell Daniel Bryan to stop wrestling. Okay, so I understand if maybe Brie got some hate tweets tonight.
Yeah. Well, hopefully
but we feel you. We feel you, Brie.
Yeah, I mean, on the bright side, he was a champion. He did have a good career. It was long, 15 years, they had said.
That's true.
I mean, you're not ending on a bad note.
I mean, at the same time, too, and he said it himself, where previous to maybe 12, he's been with the company since 2009. he probably started getting some momentum in 2012. He probably hasn't even made good money until 2012.
That's what he was saying.
Yeah, so I was like, I need to wrestle more. You're going to make the most money wrestling. So that's what it comes down to. So you want to save up money for that future. And he feels like he doesn't have enough for that future.
But does that mean that Brie can't bring home the bacon for a little bit?
That's true, but at the same time, she's gonna get pregnant, and let's be honest with you.
And
if
it's
she gets
OVER
right
after that.
So he can't find another craft.
Not as much that will pay him being an active wrestler.
Well, I'm thinking that we're gonna see him go on and do his little Tough Enough gig eventually down the line. But we also get another funny scene, moving on a little bit, from Trinity and her dad, Sean. Speaking of funny, because she's got clowns all up in her life, poor Trinity. Not only is John, but also her dad, who I think we talked about last week. He was like a big music guy back in the 70s. I'm starting to wonder if he lives with them, or if he just comes and hangs out, or if he was just there while they were shooting all the time, because he's been around now a little bit, and he cracks me up.
He's hilarious.
They decide that they want to help John calm his nerves
by actually sitting in their underwear.
Fantastic idea. I mean, this was hilarious, right? When he walked in there and they were both sitting there in their undies. Did you just die?
I did. I didn't think they were going to take it that far.
No.
How awkward is that, though?
They didn't seem to be bothered by it one bit. I felt like it was just like Saturday morning at the Trinity house, you know? So he tells some jokes, and it's not exactly what Trinity was expecting.
I like those better.
I did too.
I like those better than the actual stand-up. And when he did a stand-up, I was like, oh, okay, that was funny. But I kind of wished he went back and referenced his family a little bit.
Although I'm a little confused at his stand-up, because this whole time, I thought that girls don't fart.
You're still on that?
I was going to say, we've had this conversation a few times on the show.
It got brought up this episode.
Well, they do.
Apparently Trinity farts, apparently.
Everybody
6:30 in the morning.
No, from 6 to 6:15.
Yeah, no, I wish he would have done that, because I'm a big fan of Kevin Hart, and a lot of his jokes are from his experiences. And this one night on Saturday, and I was with my boys and this, and then my ex-wife that, and my kid this, and my kid that, and that's what's funny, because it's true, it happened. And I think that's what I like to hear out of a comedian.
Well, yeah, and you know, she's really pushing him to do this, and he from the get-go has said, this is not something that I'm comfortable doing.
Right.
So I almost feel like, you know, she could sacrifice a little bit and let herself get a little embarrassed for her man to go out and tell some great jokes and to pull off the thing that she set up for him.
Right, but the one thing I kind of didn't like was that her whole plan was to kind of push him, because she wants a plan B. You know, at one point it is going to be over. Now what? He is funny, but I think it's one thing to kind of get over stage fright and be in front of people and tell jokes and have it turn out good, let alone be paid for it and do tours and do stadiums and do sold out shows. And that, I don't think, is his forte.
For someone like him, I think it could turn into more like a comedic acting kind of a thing, right?
Oh, yeah. I can see him in movies, and
I totally see him on like The Game, or like one of those shows.
Or the Real Housewives of Hollywood, or Real Husbands of Hollywood.
I mean, it does seem like a good idea, because obviously you would know too, around this time that Total Divas was taped, obviously the Usos are a twin tag team, and his twin brother was injured, or is still injured. So obviously he needed, I think this was right before that he joined the SmackDown commentating team. So it sounds like they just wanted him something to do. So Trinity's out there, hey, I know you're not wrestling right now. Hey, let's try something else, you know? So very similar to maybe the whole, you know, Brie trying to get, like you said, maybe Daniel Bryan having a plan B or whatnot, or hey, why not have something else to do these days, you know?
Always have a plan B.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest advices I've ever gotten, is always have a plan B.
I don't know. I'm kind of one who thinks when you're chasing your dream, you got to just believe that and trust the voice within.
That's why every
plan A all the way. This is true. This is true. I know.
Don't listen to her, Christy.
Well, speaking of realists, Trinity goes to talk to Dolph Ziggler about this, and they have a pretty great convo. He kind of eases her mind a little bit. I don't know. He's like, I can see more of him. He's good.
He's got a good personality.
He didn't hit on Nikki yet. We're waiting for that. He does have a good personality, and he is funny. He is
honestly
funny.
I feel that like we've seen so much of Dolph Ziggler this season, and I think it's because when we do get to that episode with that storyline with Nikki, now the audience is going to know, oh, it's Dolph Ziggler, as opposed to just bringing him in out of nowhere. Like, who is this guy? Like, I'm surprised they haven't teased a little bit more about being Nikki's ex-boyfriend. So, but I do think that we're seeing a lot of Ziggler in building up to that episode or episodes.
We're getting set up.
I think we've only got a couple more weeks of till the season ends.
I know there's at least
Don't talk about it.
Two more.
I know there's at least 2 more because they announced the next synopsis from next week, obviously, and a synopsis for the following week.
Right,
So
and
at
they
least
didn't
until
call it the
29th.
finale. So.
I don't know. Like maybe there's one more after that. Who knows? But
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys, don't even talk about it too soon. Anyway, well, let's go. Let's move along to the Laugh Factory in Hollywood. Woo! That was good. Do we still have one? Nope, we're done. All right,
threw it down,
well,
you broke.
this is where we see Dolph get up on stage, and he kills it. By the way, I love Trinity's dress during this scene. I just want to say she was looking good.
I love Dolph
and I love the Roosevelt Hotel.
I love Dolph Ziggler's joke.
It was a funny joke. It was good. It was good. You should ask him who wrote it for him.
And I
Just kidding.
and I
I'm
do
kidding.
want
I'm giving him
I do
props.
want to hear that Kanye joke that he was talking about.
Yeah. His Kanye story. All right.
Everything
Well, we'll
about
be
Kanye is a joke.
scouring YouTube for video. Although I'm sure that was not like an open night. Something there where not anyone could just come in and watch Dolph Ziggler and John Fatu do stand up.
Rosenberg would probably know a little bit more about this, but I know I think maybe done an improv show here and there with Ziggler.
Yeah. Well, Ziggler's done a few improv shows here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when they're here for big events, he does with his brother. But
I think he did one at Mania
we'll have
too.
to hit one up next time, guys.
I think he did one at Mania in San Jose. I could be wrong.
Well, he ended up being the subject of John's stand-up, and it
Which
was
worked.
hilarious.
He was nervous. He took a sip of his drink and he saw his boy and he was like, "All right, I'm going." Like he used it and it worked out great.
Because it kind of felt from him when he was doing the Trinity jokes in the living room, and then when he was doing the Dolph jokes at the Comedy Store or at the Laugh Factory, it felt off the cuff. It didn't feel like something that he sat and thought about and wrote out. It felt like he was just standing up there being funny, and I think that's what worked about it.
Yep. You got to be organic. I
Yeah.
think that's where you get the most out of it.
And who, of course, Dolph Ziggler makes a great butt of a joke, right?
I don't know. Are you saying he has a good butt?
No, I'm saying he makes a
I don't
good butt of a joke because he's cheesy and silly and
Oh, come
funny.
on. That Tinder joke was hilarious.
No, the Tinder joke was great.
was good.
I loved it.
I laughed.
I loved it. All right, well, John killed it. Meanwhile, Brie and Brian are having what can only be referred to as a really uncomfortable conversation that I felt like I shouldn't be watching.
It got real quick.
Right? Backstage, he has gone to talk to the Vince McMahon and does not have the best news for Brie. Now, this, it got awkward, right? It was hard to watch. I sort of felt like there was no way that could have been a positive conversation.
No, of course
he was
not.
upset. It didn't matter what she would have said. It wouldn't have mattered what he said. I think at that point, maybe they should have just hugged each other and said, like, you know what? Let's talk about it tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it was the right place to have that conversation. I know he just got out of the meeting. He could have cut it short a little bit. It felt like awkward, almost. That's something that I would want to have privately with my husband. But it's a hard conversation to have. There's a lot of compromise that's going to happen with that. And
sure.
it's going to take time, but I don't think they have that time. He's going to have to make a decision.
Right. Well, and it ended with him saying, if you're not comfortable with me getting back in the ring, then I won't, which I was shocked to hear. That didn't seem like that was his attitude throughout the episode. And also, I kind of think, who cares? If you want to get back in the ring, Daniel Bryan, go ahead and get back in that ring.
Right.
So I was surprised to hear him say that. I guess that's a great husband, and that shows
Just saying
a great
it shows a lot.
foundation.
Oh yeah, but then Brie says you're going to resent me for it, which I agree as well. Which means I think that he needs to make that decision on his own. I think Brie can put in her 2 cents and say, I know it's his wife. I want a family, and what if this happens and that happens? But at the end of the day, it is his decision, and that was her point. Like, hey, I really don't think that you shouldn't go back, but if you are, I do support you. And then whatever happens, it is what it is.
For sure. Well, and let's not forget that she could become pregnant at any moment here.
Right.
She admitted to us earlier in the episode that she is on some sort of prenatal vitamins or something. I can only assume prenatal is vitamins. So she's ready. So that could happen at any moment as well, and she could be taken out of the game too. So I kind of think, she probably doesn't really know what to say or what to think. But
Nope.
she is definitely concerned for his safety,
Which
first and
is
foremost.
why they need a plan B.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yes. Well,
give me that look.
another couple who may be settling into wedded bliss sometime soon, or maybe not so soon, is Paige and Kevin. Now, let's talk about this proposal.
Well, I mean, first they had a dinner together, and obviously she was trying to change whatever subject, and anytime it got brought up, going to the bathroom, calling Alicia Fox, etc. Like, you can tell that she didn't want to be there, and I don't know, it's just weird. Like, it's just weird watching it.
Immature.
She's young, and not even that. She's still relatively young, even though she's been wrestling for 10 years, I think, around 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
She's still very much new in the whole, obviously, the sports entertainment field. So the fact that we probably haven't even seen the best of Paige, and not to say that just being married is gonna ruin anything, but obviously we all know, based on history, just how divas are, you know. And yeah, I just don't think she's ready. I don't think she's really been even come close to the peak of her career.
If you were Kevin, how would you have handled that situation?
Well, you know, if I was Kevin, I'd be questioning all of this
I
from the
think
beginning.
she was asking me.
I mean, she pulled that thing. Well, she pulled that thing last week with like baiting him with the girl, and now she's going snooping through his stuff and finding the ring and winning the surprise. I'm sort of like, why is he not mad at her?
He seems like a good guy.
He does. He seems like a fantastic guy.
Out of a lot of the guys that are on Total Divas, he's maybe like top 5.
Oh yeah.
Like, obviously John Cena being number 1. I mean, that guy can just do no wrong.
Well, when you grant 500 mega wishes.
Vinny's grown on me.
Love Vinny.
But how would you have handled that?
Oh, yes, you're asking Christy. Is Christy going to join?
No, I'm asking you. As a boyfriend.
About snooping or
about how awkward that is to sit there and you're trying to talk about something serious and she's just avoiding everything. I mean, come on, there's no way that
he should have gotten the message.
Right. Well, there's no way he should have been so oblivious to that situation. I mean, what would you do?
I'm like halfway as far as reading hints and not reading hints. If I can see that she doesn't want to talk about it, I'd just change the subject, and I probably wouldn't bring it up anytime.
Would you propose like 2 days later like he did?
Absolutely not.
How about the way that he proposed? I was not expecting that. I literally thought he was going to go get a legit tattoo. I didn't know he was going to propose
like a big old page or something.
No, I thought he just went, "Hey, take me. I want to go get a tattoo. I want one." I thought that's what.
There was a split second where we were going, "Wait, is this just how he's asking her, or is he actually going to get this tattoo to commemorate this day?"
Oh no, it was just
because we were like, fingers crossed that this is just cutesy for the engagement.
I thought it was going to be her name. Mm-hmm. Surprise.
Well, it's a little reminiscent of when she got that big fake thing on her chest when we were all supposed to believe that she was going to get a big tattoo.
How were you proposed?
On the beach. On the beach. We were just talking, and all of a sudden I looked over, and there he was down on one knee with a ring in his hand. Like I said, shocked.
Did you react the way Paige reacted? Yeah.
I think I kind of did, because I was just so shocked. No, I think it was like, oh. I don't really know. I don't really remember. There's a video somewhere.
That's a very happy day of your life.
Yeah, but it's like overwhelming.
Okay.
You know? I mean, I remember it. The only kind of memory I think that I have is just the looking over and in the sunlight, the ring and the sparkly and the,
shine.
You get blinded by the sparkles.
That's a good problem
to have. And the details, I don't know where the details go.
It's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem to have.
I mean, but I can easily tell Paige was not feeling it.
No. Not at all.
Like, I mean, especially when we see, if you want to just keep it in the whole Total Diva spectrum of it, we've seen Brie Bella get proposed to.
True.
Not Natty.
No. Jenny's still mad about that.
I think Trinity was already engaged. Mm-hmm. Who else has gotten married?
They were.
Eva, it was kind of like just like in the living room.
He brought her that ring. Yeah, he brought her the ring, but they had already talked about it apparently.
So I guess it really isn't that big of a deal on Total Divas.
No.
Just people get proposed all the time apparently.
They really,
and I feel
really
like
do.
she said yes because she felt like she had to. She doesn't like confrontation. She didn't even want to have a conversation about it. She doesn't want to say no because that's a little bit embarrassing.
And I think it was the right thing to do. She dug herself that hole, and she should not have embarrassed him in that moment, in the place, in front of the cameras, with the people there.
You have a ring on your finger that you don't really want for however long the engagement is.
Fault. I mean, I think probably they should have gone home and had a real conversation, and I'm sure that they probably did.
Which, by the way, I think earlier on in an episode, we had a group of the divas talk about Paige when Paige found the ring, and then especially Natty, she was like, "Oh, just tell him the truth." What? All of a sudden, you don't want to lie? like you always do, Natty.
I'm glad
That's
you
good.
brought
That means
that
she's
up.
changing.
But it was like, dude, nobody should be taking marriage advice from Natty Neidhart.
No marriage advice or truth-telling advice.
Exactly.
To
So I
say the
thought I was
least.
like, no, thank you, Natty. But yeah, thank you for your input. Now go away.
And are they still engaged to this day?
No, I did think about that.
I have
'cause
never
haven't
seen her wear that ring.
I haven't really heard much, but then I guess they're doing this thing on like Twitter where you like do a dance thing and then you challenge like another wrestler or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they're just passing around, and Paige did do that dance with her fellow PCB members, and she did challenge the Big Show and Kevin.
Oh,
so obviously
okay.
he's still in her life.
And if they are still engaged, nothing but happiness to them. You know, I wish them the best, if it is true.
Well, and really, at the end of the day, what difference does it make? She's in the
Yeah.
ring and she's traveling. She's not going to wear that ring. I mean, she's in the wrestling
Yeah.
ring,
Hey,
so
good
she's
for
not gonna
them.
she's not gonna wear the ring around. They're gonna be together anyway. What's the difference? You call them boyfriend, fiance. They're gonna live together. They're gonna be together. It's kind of like, all right, be engaged, don't be engaged. Makes very little difference.
But if
right?
they are, happy for them.
Yes,
I
and
wish them
if
the
you
best.
are,
Yes.
congratulations. We really, really like Kevin, and we are glad to see that she's
like
found
Kevin.
herself a good man.
I'm a little jealous, obviously, because I think Paige is gorgeous, but overall,
No,
I
Jenny.
like a lot. He's a lot better than the
Honey,
last
I don't
one.
think you could handle Paige.
What do you
I'm
mean?
sorry to say.
Yeah, more of a Renee Young kind of guy.
Yeah, someone a little sappier. All right. Well, do you have anything else to add about this exciting episode of Total Divas?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, in that case, let's move on to my favorite moment of the evening. A little
News
bit
and
of
gossip.
news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV.
Do. And there's so much news lately that I
Do
feel
it
like I
again.
start this segment.
Do.
Start this segment with an update. Last week, everybody was talking about this quote-unquote bar brawl that Paige and Alicia Fox supposedly got themselves into. Well, a couple days ago, Paige laid out the full story in an interview. People were questioning, where the cameras were there. Was this for Total Divas? Did they get thrown out? Were they
Right.
throwing margaritas? Now we know that the cameras were in fact not there. Paige confirms that she says this was not shot for Total Divas. This wasn't a storyline. This is not something you're going to see. Her and Foxy were just at this restaurant. They were singing karaoke. And I've always wondered why there isn't video of WWE superstars and divas singing karaoke on YouTube. Well, it's because they asked people not to film them. So they were singing. A woman who's a regular at the bar had her phone out. She was filming. They asked her not to. She didn't care for that, and she threw her drink in the direction of the divas, and apparently that's when they decided it was just time to leave the establishment. It was not this margarita tossing melee with them that ended up getting thrown out, which was what was reported on
Right.
TMZ, and I usually think TMZ knows what's up, so I'm going to say maybe Paige is saving a little face. Maybe there was a little more to it than that, but she's certainly downplaying it compared to the initial reports.
If Tamina was there, I think it would have been a little bit more cray-cray.
Agreed. Tamina's going to throw down. Well, we have a little bit of what I think is sad news, because for the second time in the series of Total Divas, one of my favorites on this series, Trinity, has been replaced. She will not be appearing in the next season of the show, and this actually piggybacks off some other news that we have been giving you. It is now official that Amanda
it's official.
No, it is.
How is it official?
It's official. It's been officially
Who
officiated.
officially announced it?
Yay! High five. Listen, people, it's official. It's accepted. It's reported. It's not just me saying I think it anymore. It is actually happening. Listen, oh my God. Anyway, don't let George question you. Amanda has
Who's
replaced.
you?
Naomi tweeted about this, and she said, quote, "Unfortunately, we've been replaced for the second time, but I support my girls and wish for another successful season." So she did not use the words cut, she used the words replace. So do not expect Amanda and Trinity to be BFFing it up anytime soon. Speaking of the divas, you all know that the WWE 2K16 game will be out soon. They released a little bit of video this week of a match between Natty and Eva Marie. We were questioning earlier, we had talked to Eva Marie when she was here about whether she would be appearing in the game. She is in it, and you guys can see a really cool kind of a sneak peek that the developers released of Natty and Eva throwing down in the game. It looks really, really cool.
Are you going to get the game?
I think I might. I'm not much of a gamer, but it just looks like so much fun.
For what
If you watch
system?
that video, well, that's what I was trying to ask my husband about today, and he was trying to explain to me that we don't have the right one. He's like, the graphics aren't going to look like that for us.
I don't think they're going to release it on Nintendo.
Well, I'm sure that somehow my husband will turn it into a reason to have to buy a new video game system. Which is fine. Speaking of technology, Miss Nikki Bella, the longest reigning Divas champion in history, wants you all to not be duped by a fake Twitter account that's out there that kind of popped up recently. At Nikki Bella WWE is a fake, is an impersonator. Do not be fooled. The only real account is at Nikki and Brie, I think, right? And just one more little tidbit. You guys got to know Big E on Total Divas a couple weeks ago when he dated Natty's sister. He is one guy who is not too happy about Miss Nikki Bella becoming the longest reigning Divas champion last night on Raw. He posted some pictures and was like, "What is this?" He and AJ Lee had a thing back in the day, and whatever. He wasn't happy about it.
I know you were very happy about Nikki Bella.
I am ecstatic. You know what? Let's say it as if it's news. Nikki Bella became the longest reigning Divas champion in WWE history last night, beating, all right, I better watch my terminology there because it got very messy and dirty. And whether you're a wrestling fan or not, she kicked off this match with a promo that would bring chills to any reality TV fan, any wrestling fan. She had this great cocky thing where she was like, "What did you do this year?" And what she did this year was incredibly impressive. So if you missed that, or even if you're not a wrestling fan, please go and check out Nikki's triumph last night on Raw. SmackDown will have an official Bellabration on Thursday night, and I will be here breaking it down on AfterBuzz TV. You know it.
See, it's funny because, like, a lot of people are upset that they think that they're breaking it just because of AJ and maybe the sake of the Punk.
And they are.
Here's the thing. I have no problem with that being the reason of breaking it. Mm-hmm. The only problem I do have is the way she was a champion. It's the fact that it was her first title defense since like July 4th. I think that Japan show was the last time. She has only
defended it 9 times this year. Yeah.
And it's like John Cena did more for the U.S. title in like 2 months than Nikki did it in the last like 10 months. Mm-hmm. And I just think that they just... Especially with this whole Divas Revolution thing, I just think they deserve better. I think Nikki deserved the chance to show that she was a good champ. Because essentially last night, they did this... Okay, this is my biggest beef. They did the same finish as, I think, Money in the Bank? Mm-hmm. But... Same finish, but why was that not in a disqualification, but this one was? Why did that match continue, but this one did not? So that's just like that's the only part. If she was a defending champion on regular, if she had like the best Divas match, on a regular basis, but she didn't, and that's my biggest beef. Especially with like AJ, I don't care about AJ anymore because she left. I love AJ, but I mean she left. Maybe she didn't leave. Maybe they wouldn't be breaking the record. You know what I mean? So I just wish that Nikki was a better champion in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Can't we all just get along and be happy for her?
Paula couldn't care less.
Nikki, for being the champion. Hello. She broke a record. Just be happy.
Yes.
Stop.
On that note.
Go, Nikki.
Yes. Woo. Fearless Nikki. On that note, all right, you two. That's not Bellabrating. Let's talk about some predictions.
No Bella hating.
What do you think, kids?
I love when the girls take vacations, so I want to see them in Mexico because they get intoxicated. There's no boys, and what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico.
That's right. Really? I predict full-on Brie mode for everybody.
I love Brie mode. I want to party with Brie mode.
Are you going to wear your Brie mode shirt next week?
I don't have a Brie mode shirt.
No, I'm not surprising.
I did have this Brie mode bracelet around my wine glass last night as I Bellabrated.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see that.
It does look like next week's episode is going to get a little somber, though.
Yes, yeah, with the passing of Dusty Rhodes. Mm-hmm. And we, of course, will have Ariane Andrew, the Total Diva herself, live in studio to chat with us all about it. I cannot wait. It's going to be fun. You guys... We want our fans to send us questions for Ariane, comments, whatever. Yes. Where can they hit you up, Paulina?
You guys can find me on Twitter at _Paulina Aguilar and on Instagram at Paulina M. Aguilar. And don't forget, we still want our wrestling names, and you guys have 2 weeks to come up with some ideas. So keep them coming.
Love it. George?
I got my wrestling name, but you can follow me at G Hermoza. I think that should be around right in that area. G Hermoza, at G Hermoza, #road to 400 Twitter followers.
That's right. Make sure you all send in your questions using #ABTV Total Divas, and you can hit me up personally. It's at Christy Reports. Please also check out ChristyReports.com. I have some brand new fun stuff for you, and I just reached 1 million hits, so thank you all for that.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you so much. And thank you all.
That's what we should be celebrating about.
That's right. Bellabration! The Bellabration will continue. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.